thoughts. Hopefully you do good things. Everybody has a competition in their brain of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Hopefully they win. The good thoughts win. For me, I always have both. I have like the thing I believe, the good thing. That's the thing I believe. And then there's this thing.
I think Mitt Romney might be homosexual. I mean, why would he go by? I mean, isn't his first name Willard? Right? I mean, I know that's a weird fucking name, but you know, when you go by Will, why would you continue to call yourself Mitt? Like you're receiving. Maybe his parents were just like, yep, this kid, he's gonna be gay as fuck. We're gonna name him Mitt as like a catcher. Right? I don't know. I mean, it's a weird fucking name. I know it's one of those like, blue blood sort of, old money, types of names, like, I don't know, Jay. Well, not Jay. I mean, Jay's my fucking name. So, I don't know. I would change, if I were Mitt Romney, I would change it. Or, unless he is sort of signaling to the gay community that, hey, always open for business over here. God, is that how I'm going to start this podcast off, making a gay joke? For those of you that are just, this is the first time you've listened to this podcast. I have no issues with gay people. My sister's gay. I'm not fucking trying to slander the LGBTQ T fucking did I say JFK or LBJ? Whatever. I'm not trying to slander the community. It's just it's just a weird fucking name, and it reminds me of a catcher's mitt, and I've heard the whole fucking baseball reference, right, between two gay dudes with one's a pitcher, one's a catcher. It just strikes me as odd that he would continue to because it doesn't like is it like his middle name? Is that just like, or I mean, his first name is Willard, right? And I think it's Willard. I might just be giving him a weird fuck. I'm pretty sure it's Willard Mitt Romney, right? But I kind of get the feeling that Mitt is sort of like a nickname, right? It's not like his middle name, and it doesn't stand for like Mitchell or something, right? It's just, I don't know. To me, it sounds kind of gay. So, maybe I'm right. Why else would you? I mean, that would be like me, fucking being, like me nicknaming myself or insisting people call me, bottom. I mean, it just, I don't know. Maybe I should, maybe I should just be quiet. Oh God, fucking, I was looking on, Twitter, as I really shouldn't. I should really just stop fucking, going on that freaking website. But, I don't know if I said this on the last podcast or not, but like, this insistence, right? Because, apparently, Hillary Clinton has decided to resurface again. And, of course she's making the claim that, the Russians are coming. And, Trump not doing about it is a sign that, he's fucking, their puppet or some fucking bullshit. And, it strikes me as fucking strange that, that her and her supporters, they are absolutely convinced that, 13 fucking trolls, Russian trolls, posting memes, somehow influenced the election, right? I mean, do you know how absurd it is? I mean, they're basically saying that if you didn't vote for her, that, that it wasn't that she was a complete fucking shit show. It wasn't that she was as corrupt as they come. It wasn't that she was basically promising really nothing. It wasn't that her entire campaign was based around platitudes and there was very little policy or substance to it. You know, it's not the fact that her political career is checkered with some really horrible shit. I mean, the lady is, you know, they have a video of her laughing about killing Gaddafi, right? She said, we came, we saw, we killed that guy or something like that. And she fucking cackles like a fucking lunatic. It isn't that. It isn't the fact that, you know, her husband, gutted welfare or, you know, signed on to NAFTA. It wasn't the fact that she voted for TPP, you know, 40 plus times. It wasn't because she didn't come around on gay marriage until 2013. It isn't because she supported DOMA. For those of you that don't know what that is the Defense of Marriage Act, which basically made it, you know, impossible for gay people to get married. You know, it wasn't any of these. It wasn't the fact that that she's taken Wall Street money and given, you know, $500,000 fucking speeches, you know, about who knows what. You know, it wasn't any of those things. It wasn't any of those things. It was some fucking memes of, you know, I don't know, her fighting Jesus or some shit. I mean, do you know how absurd that is? How absolutely fucking absurd it is to assume that the only reason she lost is because somebody saw the fucking, you know, saw that fight poster of her against Jesus and was like, you know what? No, I can't vote for her. I mean, they're basically saying that anybody that didn't vote for her is pretty much a fucking idiot, right? You know, and that, I mean, that throws everybody under the bus, whether you're a Trump supporter or a Bernie Sanders supporter like I am, or a Jill Stein supporter, which again was, you know, when I didn't have Bernie Sanders as an option, I chose Jill Stein. You know, and their assumption is it isn't because they appealed to me, you know, as a political figure. No, it's because I somehow was duped by Russia into hating Hillary Clinton, or it's because she, you know, she has a vagina, or some other fucking ludicrous shit. Right? So for those of you that are Hillary supporters that are listening, or, you know, I'm assuming that you're still listening. Chances are you've you know, if you are a Hillary supporter, you probably have turned the podcast off, because, you know, we all know that a lot of the Hillary supporters just, they don't like any sort of criticism whatsoever. They don't want anything that challenges the narrative that somehow she was a victim and not the cause of her not getting elected. But for those of you that you know, that managed to you know, hold on and tough it out, let me pose this scenario with you, right? You assume that some memes changed, or, you know, swayed people's votes, right? Whether or not they liked Hillary Clinton. Well, if I were to show you memes of one of your closest friends that made them look like they were absolute fucking evil, would that sway you to no longer befriend them? Would it sway? Would you be like, you know what, we can't be friends anymore because this meme shows you doing something horrific? Is that gonna, you know? And I know what you're gonna think. Well, it's not like, you know, I mean, it's apples and oranges. You know, we're talking about friends and you know, a vote for the country, but it really is kind of the same, right? Because we genuinely choose, or generally choose, friends that we feel have, you know, a shared interest that we have, that have our best interests at heart, right? That, you know, that we feel like, you know what, being, you know, a friend to this particular person will be beneficial to my existence, you know, on this planet, right? We choose, political candidates the same way, right? We look at, okay, do our ideals line up? Do we feel the same way about the issues? If you are elected, are you going to look out for my best interest? It's the exact same. So if you were like, no, there's no fucking meme that would cause me to, to unfriend somebody that I feel close to, and if you think it's fucking ridiculous, then you have to admit that this idea that these Russian fucking trolls creating memes that depicted Hillary Clinton as evil really would have no sway whatsoever besides the absolute fucking dipshit that really, I know there's a lot of dumb fucks out there. But to assume that everybody that didn't vote for her is borderline fucking retarded is insane. And this fucking conspiracy that you guys have cooked up, that the Russians are fucking meddling or meddled in our election. I mean, at least to the extent that it affected the outcome. I'm not denying that, they tried to maybe sway people, but there's no proof that those things fucking, had any, affected the outcome. There's no proof whatsoever. There's a lot of assumptions, right? And the assumption basically is if you didn't vote for Hillary, then you're a fucking idiot, right? That's the basic assumption, right? You're a fucking idiot. You must have been tricked by the Russian fucking trolls or whatever, or or fucking you were tricked by Bernie Sanders somehow. Even though if you actually looked up his his career as far as being a politician, you will see that he has always been pretty much on the right side of history. Yes, he has some iffy stances, with foreign policy, but when it comes to the social issues, he has always been on the right side of history. Always. Even before he was a politician, he's always been there. There was no trickery, fuckery, whatever. There was none. It was just if you know the guy's history, if you feel like, maybe being that we're the richest country in the world, that, people might, should actually be able to not have to worry about going into bankruptcy over a fucking case of the sniffles. There was never any fucking trickery there. Right. But there was a whole lot of trickery coming from the UFC. Why was I going to say that shit? From Hillary's fucking camp. Right. But, whatever. It's fucking insane that this conspiracy continues to exist. And I think that a lot of people aren't really taking the time to really think about what you're saying about somebody who didn't vote the same way that you voted. That you're the one that's smart and everybody else is a fucking idiot. Really? That's what you fucking think? Or is it possible that maybe you got caught up in all the bullshit of Hillary Clinton? That maybe you've been swayed by her, by her persona and didn't really look into her history, or, as far as in politics, that maybe you're not as informed as you think you are. And maybe you were the one that was tricked into voting for arguably the worst fucking candidate ever. I mean, to this day, she still carries a lower, when they do polls as far as, likability or trust or whatever, she's still lower than fucking Donald Trump. People still hate her more than Donald Trump. You know, and the thing, I mean, here's this thing that, you know, it's like, oh, the Russians must have convinced everybody to, you know, to put their fucking good sense aside. But aren't you guys the same people that claim that, you know, ever since she entered into politics, that she's been fucking harassed and nobody liked her, and there's always been this anti-Hillary? Are you telling me that since the fucking 80s, the Russians have been, you know, creating this narrative of not liking Hillary Clinton? Is that what you're fucking saying? I mean, do you realize how insane that is? I don't know. You know, I don't want to spend this entire podcast talking about politics, but it's just it's about time somebody fucking you know, called you guys on your bullshit. You know, not voting for Hillary Clinton, I mean, obviously I can't speak for everybody that chose to vote, you know, for someone else. You know, I understand why you know, a lot of the Trump supporters supported Trump because they thought that they were getting a populist. They thought that they were going to get somebody that was going to smash the establishment. You know, they were tricked, right? I understand why, you know, why people would go for Gary Johnson. And I definitely understand why people, because I am progressive, I 100% understand why a shitload of people, you know, voted for Bernie or then Jill Stein, because they just couldn't deal with fucking voting in Hillary Clinton, which was basically just going to be more of the fucking same. You know, where was I going with that? I don't fucking know. Which, you know, kind of leads into to what I actually wanted to talk about today. I was on Twitter, surprise, yesterday, and this, I don't know if it's a person or if it's an organization that follows me and I follow them. It's they're 100% about you know, people that live with and suffer with OCD. Now, I've mentioned on this podcast numerous times that I have OCD. I don't have the typical, or not really the typical, but the I don't know, the more famous version or the more well-known version of OCD, where, you know, everybody assumes that if you have OCD that, you know, you must wash your hands 50,000 times a day, and, you know, and that you gotta I don't know, click fucking light switches up and down, and, you know, you got all these weird fucking tics and shit. You know, that's what's been made famous, you know, on TV shows and in movies, right? This like overly organized, anal retentive sort of human being. Me personally, I mean, yeah, I do have some rituals that I feel compelled to do, whether I want to or not. You know, like I've mentioned before that when I'm crossing the street and if a car happens to be coming, I have to get to the other side of the street and turn in the direction that I am heading before the car passes me. And if I am not successful, then I have to cross the street back over, you know, I have to cross back over to where I started and wait for another car. It's just, you know, it's something that I don't know. I can't fucking help it, right? And, you know, I used to have the, you know, where I count my steps, and if I lost count, I'd have to go all the way back to where I started and start all over. It can be a real pain. But this person that follows me on Twitter, that I follow as well, had posted a meme that was like, you know, if you have OCD, what was it? It was like, you know, don't you hate it when you're trying to focus but your brain won't shut up? And for me, it just immediately clicked, right? Because that's the thing that fucks with me the most. I have the most difficult time with focusing on what people are saying, or if something's being taught or whatever. It's a fucking struggle for me. Now, not being able to pay attention doesn't exactly, you know, scream that you have OCD, but I started thinking about, like, what happens to me in certain situations, right? And I had put on Twitter, so if you happen to be a if you happen to follow me on Twitter, my apologies if you've already sort of heard this, because I wrote it out, in response to that tweet. But one thing that affects me the most, right, is if I happen to be having a conversation with somebody, and if they're telling me, or they're talking about something, and they happen to sort of admit, or not really admit, but point out a perceived flaw that they feel that they have, right? Whether it's like, oh, my nose is a little crooked, or whatever, or I spit when I talk, or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. But the thing that trips me up the most when people do that, that trips me up, because I'll start focusing on whatever flaw that they mention. But the number one thing that affects my focus is when I'm talking to somebody who English isn't their second language, and they make a point to to say like, oh, my English is not so good, or whatever, right? With the, if it has something to do with, they believe that their English isn't satisfactory, right? That completely throws me out of the conversation, because I now then focus on how well they judged their own ability or capability with the English language, right? So I'm not really listening to the content of what's being said, but just whether or not they're accurate in their own judgment of their English speaking skills, right? And then of course that then moves me into have I said something that was innocent, but because they don't have, or they feel like they don't have this satisfactory understanding of the English language, is there something that I've said that could have possibly offended them, even though it was unintentional, because we have a lot of colloquialisms and weird fucking turns of phrases and shit that that somebody that's never heard it might be like, what? Like, like that was incredibly fucking inappropriate or whatever, right? Because I'm from Boston, right? I have a tendency to tell people to go fuck themselves, right? And sometimes I mean it, sometimes I'm like, really, just go fuck yourself. But because it's just, not that saying go fuck yourself is like, like only people in fucking from Boston fucking say it, but I hear it a lot, right? I hear fucking go fuck yourself. I hear cunt thrown a lot, and kid, and a lot of fucking different phrasings. I almost said phrasery. They see, that's how much of a fucking idiot I am. But I start thinking about that. Right. And then I'll catch myself, and realize that, oh, wait, I haven't been paying attention to anything this person has said, because I've moved into, have they made an accurate assessment of themselves? What is it that I might have said that might have been taken the wrong way? And now I'm not paying attention. And instead of trying to actually refocus my attention to what they're saying, I'm now stressing about the fact that I'm not paying attention. And then I'm worrying, well, okay, how do I make it seem like I've been listening this entire time? And then that's, that sort of moves to, what sort of fucking self-absorbed asshole am I, that I'm more worried about, my own feelings than actually paying attention to what this person has to say, and it just, you keep going further and further down the rabbit hole, and the entire time it's like my wanting to assess whether or not they are accurate of their own assessment is there's nothing malicious there. It's more like, like, nah, that's fucking bullshit. We wouldn't be able to have a conversation if I couldn't understand you, right? So obviously your command of the English language is good. I'm just looking to sort of verify what you said, right? And then on top of that, I'm also concerned about, okay, well, if you feel like if your confidence level in your comprehension of English is isn't that great, then obviously I should look at what I'm saying to make sure that the point that I'm trying to make is getting through. It's I'm being sensitive to your feelings, right? So it's all like my intentions are good, but because I got lost down down this fucking rabbit hole, I no longer know what has been said for like the past 5 or 10 minutes. And, so you get a lot of, at least from me, you'll get a lot of like, yeah, like just, sort of when you should sort of, I don't know, pitch into the conversation. But the problem is that I will get so, I'll be so anxiety ridden at the fact that I haven't been paying attention that now all I can think about is how do I not sound like a complete fucking idiot, especially in situations where they're actually, like somebody's giving me, some information or some data, right? I always hated being in, like in class, right? When, a teacher would say something, right? She'd say like, don't, do X, Y, and Z. And then like literally a minute or two later, somebody will raise their hand and ask if they can do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, weren't you fucking paying attention? It just like that annoys me. So I don't want to be that person. So, it can just be a shit show, to be honest. It can be an absolute shit show having OCD, at least this part of it. The rituals are taxing. It can be, you can't even count how many times where I've done the crossing the street thing and had to cross right back. And I end up just fucking angry at myself because it's like, why can't you just fucking cross the street and not give a fuck about what the car is doing? Why can't you just do that? It's not like I'm completely unaware of what I'm doing. I'm 100% aware. I don't have any control over it. So it can be taxing. And the same thing with paying attention to what somebody's saying and just having no ability whatsoever to focus, to have any sort of control over your brain. God, how long have I been talking about that shit? I don't know. I'm just saying having OCD sucks. And if you are somebody that has OCD out there listening, I fucking understand. This is also why it drives me up the wall when people, they just throw like, oh, I have OCD because I like to keep shit clean. Or I have fucking OCD because I'm, super organized. Go fuck yourself. Being clean and organized is just who you are as a person. You have OCD if you cannot function the entire day because you left, I don't know, you fucking opened up your, when you were cooking yourself some eggs and you grabbed, a spice or salt or whatever, and you put it back and it wasn't quite right. If you find yourself, hours and hours later obsessing about where you or how you lined up the fucking salt shaker, then you have OCD. But if you're just somebody that's neat, that just likes to keep things fucking organized, that isn't OCD. That's just you being a very organized and neat person. And it drives me, and I'm sure it drives people that, or other people with OCD, up the fucking wall. How people fucking trivialize. I don't know why I can't fucking talk today. It drives me up the wall. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what OCD is really like. I would love to be able to fucking cross the street and not give a shit. I would love to not have to count my steps. You know, I don't do it so much anymore because I drive most of the time. I'll still count my steps, but, you know, because I found the right fucking medication, you know, sometimes I can push past it. It's not easy, but I can push past it. But, you know, as a kid, when I was, you know, I walked everywhere I fucking went. You know, there was so many times where I would be, you know, I'd just go into fucking school, right? I'd walk to school, and then, you know, I'd be counting my ways, and I'd get almost to school, and I'd get distracted and lose count, and I would have to walk all the way back home and start over. And I would sometimes show up to school, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes late because of this. You know, yeah, I wanted to get to school. I didn't want to be late. I didn't want to be the fucking, you know, the kid that fucking walks in and everybody stares. I didn't want that shit, but I couldn't fucking help it. So, you know, go fuck yourself. You know, if you like to keep your fucking room organized, you don't have OCD. Okay? Why am I yelling at you? I don't fucking know. You know, it's Wednesday. It's the 28th of February. For some reason, you know, there's fucking 2 days of a normal month are gone. Can anybody please explain to me why February only has 28 fucking days? My son asked me the other day. He was like, you know, like, why do we call, like, you know, the months that they are, right? Why do we call January, and December, and, you know, who decided that, you know, that once you get to the end of December, that you start all over at January? And I honestly, I couldn't answer him. I was just like, I don't know. I think people just, I don't know. Like, are we just, I mean, why do I sound like fucking Porky Pig all of a fucking sudden here? You know, we just assign these, like, arbitrary fucking names to things, right? I mean, you know, like, today's Wednesday, but who knows? I mean, why is it called Wednesday? What if it's just called blah, blah, blah? You know, today is blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But yeah, somebody please explain to me, you know, before I get too far off track, why does February only have fucking 28 days or occasionally 29? Somebody needs to really explain fucking leap year to me, because that makes it makes no fucking sense. Just every 4 years, we just add an extra day to fucking February. What the fuck? And if we can add, you know, one day, why can't we add two and make it February 30th? Why can't we do that? Is there a rule that says that we must have 28 days in February and 30 in some months and 31 in others? I mean, it's all just arbitrary bullshit, right? I mean, I know that as far as seasons are concerned, I get why they fucking call the seasons that they are, right? Because, you know, when it's fall, you see the fucking leaves falling. You know, when it's winter, it's fucking cold. I don't know. You know, obviously the names don't always line up with the fucking actions. But, you know, I get it that, you know, we sort of work on a seasonal calendar because obviously that's when, you know, it's 100% based on hunting and gathering, right? Especially the gathering, the hunter-gatherer fucking society, right? So, you know when to plant, you know when to sort of expect, you know, things to fucking grow. I get the fucking seasons, but the names for the fucking months and why we only have fucking 28 days in February, it's a fucking mystery to me, you know. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here because I'm just babbling at this point. I hope you're having a good week. It is, you know, like I said, it's fucking Wednesday. It's the middle of the fucking week. It's hump day. Why is it called hump day? I mean, well, no, I know why it's called hump day. Because it's the middle of the fucking week. And, you know, it's, all right. I don't know. I've turned into fucking Seinfeld. What's the deal? We're fucking hump day. Oh shit, sorry if I just blew your ears out there. But anyway, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Maybe I'll give you another, like, extra podcast, you know, tomorrow or Friday, or maybe I won't. I don't know. If I do, then I'll talk to you again in, you know, in a day or two. Or if I don't, then, you know, I hope you had a good weekend, a good fucking weekend. And, you know, like always, don't take any shit and go fuck yourself. Peace.